they won't go again. You'll go.
So, daycare is closed today. So I get to watch the animals, and I'm kind of sitting here getting a bunch of stuff done. They want to go in the pool, so I got to watch them in the pool. But I'm like, I haven't made a video on how I put the extra hydraulics on my tractor. And it's going to be kind of easy to explain, if that makes sense. But we'll see if we can do this. So because things always seem to work out in my favor, I recorded the starting of this video all in time lapse, which is super helpful because now I get to redo it and try and remember what I recorded. But this project entailed a couple pieces that were really one piece. So what I did is I installed third function. Third function is electronic solenoid and goes in the middle of the tractor. Can be run independently, or you can link it together. The other thing I did is I installed fourth and fifth SCVs or remotes that are on the back here, and then there's pieces that link it together. So all the plumbing for these two kits is hard metal plumbing, and then you kind of make it work. When we started, I didn't have the winch on, but I took the third link off. I took all the arms off that I could, and basically I got as much of the 3-point system out of the way as I could without having to unbolt things, because then we didn't have to trip over it. It wasn't in the way. You weren't whacking your shin on it. So I got all that out of the way. How did we do it? First, you've got to remove the seat. That's not too bad. It's 4 bolts, I think. That comes out. Then you've got to remove that plastic pan that's underneath the seat. So this whole plastic that's here. Now that thing was a pain in the ass. Take it out. You're really going to want 2 people for that. You got to pop off all the little handles so it's just the levers there and kind of work that out. That thing was quite a pain to do. Probably the hardest of the entire thing was taking that out. When you look, you can see how with this pan here, you can't get to where those hoses are, so you've got to take this plastic pan off to be able to get down, because they're on both sides, basically right underneath the front of the seat. What we did was we started by putting together the third remote first and got it all done. Hard pipes on it, everything fits. There's a bunch of little pipes, so you've got one that goes from the bottom up to the front underneath, and then there's one that goes from the top and that goes down to the other. So there's 2 that you have to tie into basically underneath the seat, 2 ports, or a supply and a return. Then what there is coming off of this, there's 2 hoses or 2 pipes that go to where the valves are, and then there's a case drain that drops down to the side of the 3-point. So those are the pieces that go. This one was actually really easy to do. It was just kind of making everything fit. We started on 4th and 5th. So we got the valve mounted. There's 2 different style levers that come with it, so we kind of changed those out to get it a way that made more sense ergonomically, but you can't change them when it's mounted, so you have to wait. And then we missed some brackets, so this one took a little bit of work after the fact just to get it kind of fit right, but it wasn't bad. Now you're gonna have a whole bunch of hard metal hoses. Hard metal kind of makes it easy though, because you can kind of make them fit together. Like you hold them where you think they're going to need to go, and they only fit one way. So you've got one that goes between the 2, then you've got one that drops down to the drain, and then another one that goes up to the front. So the hydraulic flow kind of starts on that side, if this makes sense. It's probably not right though, but it comes up to here, goes over to this one, and then it goes down to the return. That's what you're basically you're making a loop, and you steal hydraulic flow on either side of it. But then you've got a case drain too that's down here. So this one was kind of one of the more challenging pieces. That T right there, it comes with a bunch of fittings on it. You're gonna wanna take all those fittings off and then kind of hold it in place. Or you can just look at how mine is. But that piece was kind of the hardest, getting that to fit in right. So, but you're gonna end up with extra hoses because you don't need some, because you're replacing them with that kit that makes these 2 go together. the third line going to the front, it's hard lines up on the loader itself. The top one goes on really easy. That fits in. The bottom one, they're both 2-piece lines, but the bottom one, you have to bring up the piece from the bottom and from the top. And you really can't do it by yourself. You kind of need 2 people for that one because of the way you've got to hold the lines. But that one wasn't bad. So it's hard lines. We put the flexo lines that go in with the regular ones. And then there's a bracket for the quick connect there. We had to take 2 bolts off that loader mounting arm. You're gonna need a hell of a cheater bar or an impact to get those off. Those things are on there. So just know that it takes some work to get that off. The other thing we did is we had the rear tire off. It made it easier routing lines and stuff like that. So that soft line comes up underneath the tractor and comes back to the third. There was extra there, so we kind of just coiled it up, got it out of the way. It doesn't really affect anything. It was better than cutting it off and re-crimping line. So that's all together, tighten everything up. We had one fitting that we forgot to tighten up that made a little bit of a mess when we fired the tractor up. Not a big deal, that's easy to clean. And for as much work as we did to have one hydraulic error, not a big deal. Now, everything works awesome. I haven't used 4th and 5th yet, but the 3rd on the front is great. And I can use it on the back too. You just unhook the hoses and hook up something else. So if I want to put a hydraulic top link on, I could run it off the thumb. Really, you can kind of do anything, but I just have to click the button on my thumb. I don't have to move the loader with it. So it made it really easy. Now with the RPMs down low, so that you guys can hear, so the tractor's not kind of making a whole bunch of noise, it doesn't like to do a lot because you're using a lot of hydraulic flow to run the grapple and to run the loader itself. But you turn the RPMs up, then the thing works pretty smooth. Every now and then you got to let one of them kind of catch up because you're getting ahead of what the tractor's able to do. But it works pretty slick. I mean, when I was moving logs like you see right now, I was able to do a lot without having to put a lot of work into it compared to what I would before. And I didn't have to think about, flipping a valve so that I could move my loader joystick a different way to get the grapple to close. It was all integrated with that 3rd function. On the 4th and 5th, the top one does have float, so you could kick that in and put it into detent if you wanted. The bottom one doesn't, so it's just that top one has the detent on it. Now I've got the electronics for my snowblower for the chute rotation and the deflector. Now as those motors, or if anything changes on that, I'm going to switch those over to the hydraulics on the 4th and 5th, because then I can just run them off of here. You get rid of electronics with ice and snow and water, it eliminates problems because the hydraulics are going to fail a lot less. I've got my slip here from Halls that shows all my pricing. So 3rd function, that's the valve and the thumb control, and then the wiring harness to make the electronic solenoid work. That valve is $1,178. Then the hoses that come from the back, from the valve, go underneath, come up, have the couplings, hard lines that go down the loader arm, and then come down to the front of the loader. That 3rd line kit was $550. Now, could you probably do it cheaper if you went to your hydraulic shop and just get soft lines made? Probably, but it's one of those, this is kind of what I wanted. I wanted the factory on there. 4th and 5th, that valve was $1,051. So then you've got a handful of pieces to put the two together, because by themselves they're an independent kit. You need the pieces to make them go together with the hydraulic line. So there's a $79 line, a $59 line, a $95 line, and then there's a T down here for the case drain. That was $50. So all told, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, as well as everything to get up front, was $2,909. So now, is that a bunch of money? Sure, but it's what I wanted. Now, Halls quoted me 8 hours at $100 an hour, I think it was, so $800 to install this. They said it was going to take them a day. Ryan and I did it in about 6 hours, and he's pretty good with tractors, knows a bunch about them. He could kind of get through the schematics a little bit easier than me, but it wasn't bad. So 6 hours to get this done. The electronics for my snowblower, for the chute rotation and the deflector. Now, as those motors, or if anything changes on that, I'm going to switch those over to the hydraulics on the 4th and 5th, because then I can just run them off of here. You get rid of electronics with ice and snow and water, it eliminates problems because the hydraulics are going to fail a lot less. There's just, now this gives me more options about doing different things down the road. So yeah, I got about $3,000 into this, but I got a lot more tractor now too with capabilities. So I'm happy with it. It's all factory parts. So to me, it works, but I don't know. It may help. If people have questions on doing this, it's easy. Shoot me a question in the comments.
Good job. Great. Thanks. Hi.
What do we want people to do with our videos?
Subscribe.
What else?
Comment down below if you have a tractor.
Comment down below if you have a tractor.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Make sure it's a green one. Better be a green one.
All right. I should probably get in the pool with them.